I am ready to go. Yeah.
All right.
Good to
So
see
the
you.
recording has started, right? You got it?
I did. I hit the button. We're
Okay.
good.
All right. Let me introduce us folks here and welcome you to this Blab podcast. I guess it's a Blabcast is what you should call it, right? So this is Magnet Marketers, and I am Mike Gingerich, the co-founder of TabSite, president of Digital Hill marketing agency and web software developers, and also a podcaster with the Halftime Mike podcast, and finally startup of a nonprofit called I Give Global, which takes me around the world with others to help those with great opportunity but a little capability to help themselves. All right, and I have got with me today April Heavens Woodcock from Touching Clients out in the East Coast in Connecticut area. And April is also, Touching Clients is a marketing agency and specializing in a lot of email marketing, social media management. How did I do on that, April? What would you want to add to missed?
No, you did good. You did great. We definitely email and building sales funnels from the ground up and strategy and training as well. So perfect.
All right. Okay. So normally I am co-hosting this Magnet Marketers with Jessica Phillips, my partner in Blab Crime here. And she is out of the office right now in Las Vegas, attending another conference on social media where she's learning some new skills and sharpening some things up and connecting with people in our industry. So Jessica from Now Marketing Group in Lima, Ohio, we miss you, but we look forward to having you back next week at the same Blab time, 4 p.m. Eastern. So thank you.
Some great stuff too to share.
Absolutely. So thank you, April, for joining me here today. And we are looking forward to this topic. So our topic today, folks, is email nurture, how to rock relationship building in email campaigns. And April is here to specifically help me along with that. We want you to know that we'd like this to be a chance for you to ask questions along the way. We want to address those because we want it to be helpful for you today. We're looking at about a 30-minute time period here. So make sure you use the / question in the commenting area. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to use that button and post button just so we can let others know that we're out here right now. We're live. The more the merrier. So take a time to do that, tweet and post, and we'll dive in. So we better define this a little bit first, April. So email nurture. And if you're going to put that into words, what are you going to say that is and when does it occur, just so we can have a good starting point?
Sure. So email nurture, first kind of back up. So email marketing in general is permission-based marketing. So it is, it's a targeted interested audience in what you have to offer. So you start there, and what ends up happening is you create what we call an email nurture sequence. So taking those existing relationships, whether they be prospects or clients, and nurture them through providing value and content. So for example, if you were to do a white paper download where you've collected an email address, you've gotten permission, now you're going to feed them some really good information and also offer some upsells to products. But it's all really about building trust, you know, because people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So an email nurture helps foster that relationship. And that's the best way to describe, I think, in kind of layman terms of an email nurture, because sometimes people think of an email nurture where it's a sales pipeline and it's just to sell. And yes, your ultimate goal is you want to keep that revenue wheel turning. However, you have to start at the beginning and build the relationship and foster it with good content and good value before people are actually willing to hit the I'm going to buy now button.
Excellent, excellent. I'm just going to put that quote in there and repeat it because that was important. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. All right. So that was a great quote from April there. And I think that that is the essence of email nurture. I liked what you said there. So it's you're going to turn people off if you're direct sell, you know. So if you're hammering them with buy now, do this, I'm going to unsubscribe, you know, kind of thing. And that's going to happen real quick. And but there's also the value of, you know, offering resources and offering value so that over the course of time there is a trust relationship built, and so that because what is the percentage of people that are ready to buy when the first time that they come across you? I mean, again, that's going to be very small. So a smaller percentage.
I think the statistic still is that 7 to 10 touches before they're going to buy.
There you go. Okay. So this is important, 7 to 10 touches. And I mean, we've talked before with Jessica and some of these magnet marketers about the need for lead capture. I mean, so that there is there has to be some type of opt-in, some way to get them on this list oftentimes so that we can get them into an email nurture. And that can occur on your website, some type of valuable offer or resource. Maybe it's an ebook, it's a coupon, but it's something that you're inviting them into this relationship. They know that they're going to get added to an email list. You're offering some type of value. You're being clear about what's going to happen, after they get the initial one, and there's going to be some other ongoing emails that come.
Yeah, and Mike, that's a great point. That's a great point. A lot of people miss that when they're building their lead magnets. Is that we have like lead pages and ClickFunnels. We have all these great resources that set it up for you. But people that are new to building these campaigns don't necessarily. They might use something where it's on their website. You definitely need to be clear what the expectation is now that they've signed up for something. So they've come to your webinar. Now you're going to expect that you're on this email list and you are going to get communications, because at the end of the day, it's about customer service too, and by making sure that explicit permission and people are aware of what to expect that comes next.
Okay. Yep. All right. So we've been clear about that. What's going to be next, where they're going with that, and what is some keys to getting started. And I don't know if you want to address in general or B2B or B2C, but what's going to be helpful if we're going to rock this relationship with the email campaigns. We're just getting started. What do you want to say about that?
Well, I think just to kind of continue the message with the lead magnet piece, it could be a webinar, it could be an in-person training, it could be a simple ask for somebody to join your email list to put them into some kind of email nurture campaign. So yes, I definitely agree. On anybody's website, it should be on every page of your website that you're collecting that information, whether it be the download or just a simple sign up. Even, I'm not sure on your blabs here, you guys should be offering, and I'm sure at times you do. I know Jessica really shares some great blog information, and you write some great blogs as well, Mike. So by wherever you're touching your audience, should be looking to collect those email addresses and build that list, because everywhere you're touching them is some sort of lead magnet into that email nurture campaign. And then what you really want to think about is what your end goal, and a very specific objective is. So for example, if you have a webinar and you're going to do a series of free educational webinars, at the end of the day, free is great because you're building that relationship. However, eventually you want them to become a customer. So at what point in that planning are you going to ask for something, whether it be ask them to purchase a product, whether you ask them to come into a coaching program, so you really have to kind of in the plan decide how many times am I going to touch this audience before I actually ask. And an ask could be a simple ask, call to action. So maybe it's your first ask is join me on Facebook because you connect a lot. Maybe you do Facebook Live or connect with me on Blab. So a simple call to action, and then build to that very specific, I'm going to ask now. Now, that being said, everybody does marketing a little bit different. So some people are very hard sell and some people are very soft sell. So you have to find it within your business, what you're comfortable with and asking. Because I partnered with somebody on a webinar, and I'm going to leave the company's name out of it. And we partnered, and I invited my list, and we had, it was a webinar. It had over, I think it was about 120 people live. There was about 160 that signed up, and which was great. However, my audience is not used to a hard sell. So this person sold and sold and sold throughout the webinar, which made me uncomfortable because I'm not that type of person. That's not what I like for my audience. So as you're building your email nurture, you need to find that comfort zone of where you're comfortable asking for that sale or that next call to action of what you want them to do.
Any guidance on what do you think between how many emails before the ask is there any bearings? Is there 2, 3, 7 and then there's variations on, is that over 7 days? Is that over 14, 30 days? You know, those types of pieces. Any thoughts on those kind of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you're doing, so I just built a simple, kind of a simple nurture for a client where they had a download of a resource that had 10 tips to speaking. And so what we did was we built a funnel based on the 10 tips. So every day for 10 days, that was a 10-day email sequence. However, they use MailChimp, and I also have used Infusionsoft, and there's other tools that have that automation. So you just have to be careful to track the analytics so that you're not over communicating. So for them, 10 worked really well. However, I typically recommend if you're just getting started, start with 3 to 5 in an email nurture. I would start asking by the second or third email, and asking, that's a soft ask. So that's like, you know, look at my blog, come follow us on our blog. And then for the sale, I'd start asking by 3 and definitely ask again at 4, and then have that hard call to action by 5, and really kind of put the message out there like, hey, limited seats available, whatever your call to action is. But I think a simple campaign, just getting started, 3 to 5 emails is perfect to start. And then as you kind of, depending upon your sales cycle, you can get even further where you can have multiple emails. But the big thing of all of this is you have to really use tools that you can monitor the analytics, because if people aren't opening it, or if you're over communicating, you're going to see that in the analytics. And you also want, as you grow your business and you get to that next step where you're using an Infusionsoft and Entreport, you can actually have people drop out just because they haven't opened your email. So, which is a great thing, because you're not over communicating and you're still keeping your list clean, because you want to be able to send your newsletter to them, send something else to them.
Yep.
So I would start small and then eventually grow.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I would just add that based on experience, I mean, we often are in the kind of 4 to 7 realm with clients, you know, when we're doing stuff, so that there's some type of lead magnet, and then, you know, you're trying to build some equity with them over the course of that, and often that's been 4 to 7 emails before you kind of get to that final ask. But I like the soft sell approach, the soft ask, as you said, because and that can be, you know, check out this blog post. It can be, you know, make sure that you're connecting with us here, Facebook, on social, or, you know, whatever those social channels are. And but you can't just do that. You can't just ask for follow us on Twitter. There has to be something of little value. And again, it's going to vary.
That's huge, because some people have, I've seen email nurtures where I worked with somebody a few months ago and they gave me all their content, and I was like, what are you selling? You need to sell something. Like, you've warmed them up. Now you got to sell something. So I think
too much content.
It was great content, but I think that, you know, definitely, he wasn't building his list. He had already had a great list already in place and has never really asked for the sale. So I think that his open rates were good. It was a good time to really ask. Now, kind of on the opposite, and I didn't mean to cut you off, on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have people that will ask immediately for the sale. You know, they're gonna come right in, and some people are fine with that, and some people aren't. So I'm sure all of you have been on a campaign where I recently was on one that they were heavy into email, but when they're not selling me something, they deliver great content, but I felt like I was being sold to 3 to 4 times a day. So you really just have to do what's good. Again, do what's good for you. And if you decide that you want to ask first, then go for it, because that might work for you. You might not know. And the other thing too is A/B test. You want to test things and find that kind of sweet spot for your audience and what you're delivering.
Yeah. Okay. So if we were going to break it down like a 5 email series, and you know, they've gotten the first one, and then, you know, we're following up. And so in number 2, I think it's easier for people if you just really make it simple. So think through in email 2, what is the resource, what's the value that you want to add, and the posture you want to take to build rapport and trust, and you know, then what is the soft ask? So if that, and you can do that. So again, email 2, offer a resource and soft ask. Email 3, what's the resource? What's the soft ask? You know, and maybe then you also kind of lead into that first bigger ask. You know, and like you said, so that's, you're introducing it there, or you're telling them that's going to come in number 4, so number 4 and number 5. those are there and asked for, but there's also a resource with that.
Yep, I would agree. It looks like somebody had a great question. Dr. Rick was asking thoughts if they don't open, how many emails before you stop them in automation. So I would say by the third email, if they haven't opened it or taken any action, that's a good time to take them out of that sequence. What we actually recently created with a client, which was an interesting, different approach, was once they didn't click on 3, we sent them a 4th email with a link to almost a survey. Like, how can we, it was a survey, it was how can we better serve you to give you the content that you're looking for. Now, what was interesting is the people, some people that actually ended up opening the email gave us really valuable feedback. And it was, well, I missed 2 of the emails, and it could have been timing, right? Time of day. That was another thing to look at. So we started to really look back at the campaign. But I would say after 3, if they're not communicating or they're not taking action, then take them out to keep your list clean.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Now let's dive into a little bit more detail, because Dan asked a couple questions which go down to details. Then Dan's asking the question about headlines, the importance of a great headline and how it impacts opens. And bottom line, yes. I mean, absolutely, because we are skimmers online now, and we're basically, you know, you're seeing things in the inbox. I mean, what do you see? I'm using Google Apps Gmail then, so what do I see in my inbox? I mean, I'm just seeing a name and a subject line. That's it, you know, and you've got to hit me there if you want to have a chance. And so great headlines really matter, and tremendously impacts the open rates. You know, so headlines, I mean, there's the a how-to type of headline. There's a beginning of a testimonial headline. You know, hey, they said this about their experience. The give me 30 days type headline, and the 7 reasons why headline, or the probing question. You know, do you ever wonder why doctors don't? And, you know, that type of thing. So there's all kinds of options there, but I'd say that's important. What would you have to add to that, April?
Yeah, I would just say that you want to definitely stay away from spammy type words. So avoid, you know, too much over punctuation. I think that if you kind of, and I liked, you know, we use that word FOMO, so fear of missing out. So you want to create that urgency of why they need to open that email now. And then also you need to watch the word counts, because we also see, you know, we look at, it's over 50% of people are viewing emails now on their mobile phones. So you really do need to, whatever you're doing in your subject line, have a great call to action, but also you really don't want to exceed 8 to 10 words on that subject line, because chances are they're not going to see the whole call to action. And what I would also add is make sure that you test it. So test it before you send it out to your audience. So test it on your mobile phone, test it on your desktop, and make sure that you can clearly see what you're asking for, because nothing's worse than sending out a subject line that no one has. You get the first few words and they actually don't even understand what the call to action is. So definitely test it. Also, you know, especially if you're doing like a product launch, or if you're really trying to drive a message home, I would always recommend split testing your list and try a subject line with one way and then another way, and see where you get your best conversion, especially if you've been doing it a certain way for a long time. It kind of brightens up your list a little bit, and then you can really get some good insight to what your audience is truly interested in opening.
Okay, so we're talking about, you know, this type of series, and if we've got 5, 7, whatever it is in this sequence, and we've got it, we know we got to have good headlines. We know we got to have a some type of value resource that we're offering people. That's that trust building. That's rocking the relationship. You're trying to extend that further by offering some type of value and perhaps a soft ask in that. Now, Dan had a second question. And Dan, you're in luck today, because April just so happens to be a certified, trained expert trainer with Constant Contact and Infusionsoft. So to address your questions about reasonable open rates for opt-in emails, she's got a background in this, Dan. So here she goes.
Typically, good open rates are 18 to 25%. The clincher to that is your click-through rates are obviously going to be more valuable intel, and the reason being is because you can actually see what your audience is clicking on. So open rates 18 to 25%, but you have to take into account that we have Apple phones, we have Samsungs, we have tablets, we have all these different devices, and really what's considered an open rate is that little box where, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but sometimes the images don't render. And so like if somebody has Outlook or reading pane in their email platform and just skims through it, unfortunately that's considered an open rate. So they can be swayed a little bit. So if you're below 18%, I would really go back and look at your subject lines, make sure that who the email is from, that familiarity is definitely well known to your audience, and that you're being consistent in when you're sending it out. So people know that you're getting an email on, if it's your newsletter, they're getting it Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Consistency really does make a difference in your open rates. And obviously, if you're above that, typically organizations, so like memberships are going to be higher, so more like 35 to 50%. However, keeping your list clean is also going to make a difference on those open rates. So if you have bounces, clean them out. If you have people that haven't opened your email in a while, ask them to update their profile and get them off your list. You really want to be sending to interested audience, because those are going to be your word of mouth marketing at the end of the day. So that's a great question. And I would definitely have you look and see when people are opening your email where they're clicking on your email as well, because that's really relevant too. I worked with a client a few years ago that had a really large list, and every week they send out a weekly synopsis of 5 different blogs in marketing industry. And when we started to look at the analytics, nobody was clicking on 4 and 5. So they were doing all this work and nobody was clicking on it. So definitely great to be looking at all those, and that's a great question. I love when people ask that, because that means they're conscious of the analytics, and that's awesome, because that's really important to successful email marketing.
Well, I like 2 things you said there. I mean, number one, that you can give people they can relax if they're in that 18 to 25% realm, because they're normal. They're normal. Okay, because I've had people that call me up. Oh, Mike, we only got 40%. This isn't working. You have to 38% open the. I was like,
awesome.
Okay, let me pull up these stats here and show you. That's actually pretty good here. That's really good here. Okay, here's what the normal stats are. So, so that's just important to know that there's lots of variables that go into that, and you're not going to get them all. You're not going to. I mean, so you're getting 1 out of 4 at 25%. Okay,
right.
And but again, there's some great Major League Baseball hitters that are hitting 250, right? And that's exactly what you're at right there.
Well, if you look at like the comparison from a direct mail campaign, and I know direct mail campaign pricing has come down significantly, but it's like a 1% return on investment when you send out a direct mail marketing campaign. So from an email standpoint, and that's truly a cold audience. So when you're working with email, you've already provided them something of value, where they've opted in and showed one step of interest. Maybe they haven't purchased from you. So if you have 18% and better, that's awesome, because you're getting in front of those people. Your brand is getting in front of them, and that top of mind awareness. But The thing too is that I do want to say it takes time. So if you're a newbie to email marketing, just be patient. I've had people where they say, well, I sent out an email and I haven't gotten any response. It takes time, and it is top of mind awareness. So you're for a cost-effective price for your business, you are getting a professional communication of really good value in front of them on a regular basis. So just keep that in mind and be patient and steer the course and be consistent.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna back us up a little bit again, just to the beginning of this, because it seems like there was a couple questions around the opt-in portion. How do you get them to opt in? And so, Dr. Rick, first off, you ask about, are they better when using a text opt-in, such as lead digits? Okay, so let's get to that one, but let's talk about that opt-in. And I think this is probably one of the biggest areas that people are not doing well, or they're skipping on their website. They think just having a sidebar with a little box that says, sign up for this is going to do it. And I think that, again, we're distracted. We're moving quickly. You get somebody on your website, they're making evaluations in 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did they stay or go? That type of thing. And So I'm recommending, lead capture opportunities, that soft ask, that invite them with some type of resource that jumps out, that sticks out a little bit, and that helps capture them. It has to be relevant, has to be timely. So it's got to come quickly, and it's got to be in front of them, I think, and it's got to be offer some type of value. Those are the key pieces there. And I'm gonna just do a little promotion there and put out in our tab there, Waftia just launched a new tool for lead capture. So this is a software subscription based for websites that helps you. You can do a widget, you can do a pop-up overlay, you can have it appear 4 seconds after they're on the site, when they're trying to leave the site, those kind of things. What else do you want to say about the opt-in or addressing Dr. Rick there, April?
Yeah, so that's a great question with the lead digits. So lead digits is a newer piece within lead pages. However, the text join option, I think it depends on how you present it to your audience, because I've seen really good success with speakers that are doing live presentations. However, I've seen really great speakers that have not had a lot of success with using lead digits.
You know what?
Text to join.
So he's talking about text messaging.
Yeah, so you're using digits to join, like to opt into something. So,
Okay.
I think you have to really make sure that what you're giving them is compelling enough to draw them in. So like if you were to have, a contest, I think, where they were entering a contest to, maybe for a free consultation. I'm just going to use that as an example. You're going to probably have a higher conversion rate than if you're just offering a white paper download. However, if you're at a speaking engagement and you're up in front of a crowd and you want them to text to get the slides, absolutely. People want the slides. They want the resources. So you make it so they have to actually do a little work for it, and not just because I know a lot of times, especially if you're speaking at venues, you're invited to a venue, they don't share their email list with you, and it's really not permission based. So you want that audience to opt into your own list. So I think it really comes down to the resource that you're offering them. In terms of numbers, it's hard to say, because I think it's definitely more overall. I've seen minimal success with clients that I've worked with on it, but it's still a work in progress. I think it's a still work in progress.
Okay. All right. Now, so we've been talking about the ultimate goal. You need to know what your ultimate goal is, and that has to be some type of value to your business there. But along the way, relationship building, because it doesn't take just one or two contacts with someone. Do you want to say a little bit more about that, points of touch for someone to make that decision? I think you had said something about, was it 6 to 7 contacts with the company?
Yeah, 7 to 10 touches is kind of the overall. Yeah, yep. So your question is, I'm sorry.
Well, basically, do you want to say any more about that? Basically, what that means. When we say 7 to 10 touches, this is a key part of that, right?
Absolutely. So if somebody, your first touch might be that you did a Facebook ad, they came and they downloaded and joined your email list for the download. So that's going to be your first touch. And then your email nurture of how you're going to communicate to them afterwards is going to be part of that kind of nurture campaign with those touches to engage that audience. So again, it comes down to the content that you deliver and how you want to deliver your call to action to your audience. So you might ask for a sale immediately, or you might nurture them a little bit before you and throw in some soft call to actions and then more of a harder sell. However, also keep in mind that your monthly newsletter, or if you send a weekly, those are touches. Those are ways to touch your audience too. So even though they're not considered a full email nurture as a sales pipeline, they are touching your audience and nurturing them towards building that trust and that relationship. So for example, I know within my newsletter, I always have something where it might be a free webinar to come to, or something that we're working on. Maybe I'll ask a question about a new product or service. So your newsletter is also a great way to engage your audience with a survey or something like that. So you are touching them over a period of time. I think it really comes down, I think for any type of business, whether you're business to business or business to consumer, you can absolutely use email nurture campaigns to foster the relationships in your audience. And eventually those will convert, or they'll drop out. And if they drop out, they weren't really interested to begin with. But if you keep making sure that your list is up to date and staying in touch with them on a regular basis, that list is going to continue to be clean, and it's also going to convert to business down the road. It just takes time and patience, because I think sometimes, again, I go back to people think sometimes, well, I'm going to do this email nurture and everything's going to convert. And I know, I'm sure, Mike, you can tell, I'm a small business owner. I've done email nurture campaigns that have really not been great. Like, they haven't converted. Don't get discouraged. You just have to go back and kind of review the analytics of why they didn't convert to, if your goal is, set your expectations realistic too. So if you're going to be selling a product or seats to a venue, if maybe the room holds 50, what's a realistic goal for you? Set yourself up for success, especially as you're getting started. I look at John Lee Dumas just ran a Kickstarter campaign, and, he just was under $500,000 for this Kickstarter campaign. Realistically, as a newer entrepreneur, if you're just getting started, we wish that all would happen to us, but that's not the reality. It takes time and patience, and don't get discouraged and keep trying.
Yep. Okay. So we talked about maybe that sweet spot is 3 to 5, 4 to 7 type of emails, and you kind of got to know your audience as well in terms of the length of time for that. I mean, as you said, you did that one campaign which was 10 emails, 10 days, but for some that might be too much. But I think I'm going to say that if you're doing that 4 to 7 emails, maybe your time frame that over that is going to be 7 to 10 days. So if you're doing those 4 emails, maybe that's over 7 days. If it's going to be the 7 emails, maybe it's over 10 days. So there's a little break, there's a little opportunity, but you're staying in touch with them on what they're going to get next, and you're building some rapport with that. And so information, education, expectations are significant, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The other thing too is that don't overthink the content. Email should be short and focused. So when we're talking about an email nurture, my recommendation to you is making sure that your key information you're sharing is above your fold line on your what people can see, and that it's not this lengthy email, because people won't read it. And that could also be another deterrent for future open rates down the road. So the less, kind of keep that mentality, less is more. Your key point, if you're highlighting something in a download that you just offered, and I wrote a tip about email marketing and how to get the best open rates. I mean, I can go into open rates and how to get the best open rates with a good amount of content on there. However, I'm going to lose them after the first paragraph or two, and make readability easy. Use a headline format, bullets, and then always have a click. Use that to your advantage. Think of your emails as a deliverable back to your website, because that's organic search engine for your website as well. So use it as a delivery tool, not as necessarily a mechanism where it's going to be basically a repeat of your download. Just some key points. That's what your email nurture should be based on, for where you collected them when they came in the door.
Okay.
Does that make
All
sense?
right. Yeah, no, I like that. So folks, hey, we've already hit the 30-minute marker, but I think we want to try to take a few final questions there. So if you've got a question, make sure you post it in there to us. And April, we got one from Dr. Rick here again. How about short 60-second video in the campaign? What do you think about that?
I love video and email. Video definitely gets a higher percentage of click-through. So, visuals are important in any part of your email. However, video definitely gets a higher click-through historically. So if you can add a video, I think the big thing, like you're saying, 60 seconds, if you can make it 60 seconds or under and get right to the point, people love that. It's easy. It makes it easy when they're on the go, because again, remember, people are looking at the mobile phone. Over 50% are looking at email on mobile. So keep that in mind. But video is a great way. And the way that mobile, the way that video is today, and now we can use it on Facebook Live, we can use it all over the place. That's great content to repurpose too for your website. And mobile phones take great video. You can take a video. It doesn't need to be this huge polished video and overthink it. Just go for it. You can do it.
There we go. There we go. All right. We got one from Antonio. Good to have you here, buddy. All right. Not sure if you talked about much. Okay. How much automation is too much? All right. How much automation is too much? I would say I'll go first. I'll let April answer this, but I think that again, it's about knowing your audience. I mean, it comes back to that. So, and it has to be there has to be some factors about what is valuable to them and what's going to feel pushy and too automatic to them. And it's also going to come back to, who they are in terms of what type of information you're delivering. And so you need to know what's their custom, background, what type of person are you attracting to know what's going to be too much or not enough. And that's why, all these are kind of generalities that you might have a group that says 10 emails over 10 days, that's okay with them, and that might blow some out of the water. And so they might need that 4 over 10 days type period. But I think it's about setting expectations and making sure that you know who the audience is and you set the expectations on what's coming there. So April, how would you address Antonio on that?
I think that's a great question. I think first, when you think about automation for your business, I think you have to look at kind of as we grow as business owners that there is processes that we can automate to help our business be more successful, especially as you're kind of at that next step. So automation can really help a business to grow to the next step. So getting into answering more of your question is what's too much. I think Mike made a great point. It comes down to your audience, but it also comes down to your comfort zone, because when you automate too much, it definitely can impersonalize your messaging to your audience. So like, I'm not a huge fan of evergreen webinars, people thinking they're on a live webinar, and it's really an evergreen webinar that's recorded and there might be a chat. Like, I really look for that real in-person connection. So I think you also have to go back to what's good for your business. I think you can over-automate, especially if you're not mindful that you have customer service inquiries coming in and you're not really managing it from the back end. I think you could really run into a problem by automating every single process. I think from a customer service level, people really do look that they're going to get a response from a real life person. And sometimes I think I definitely have felt it with people where they have all this automation and you might have a question and you reply and you don't hear back for a few days. So that kind of takes that personalization out of the equation. So I think to look definitely your target audience, if you know that your audience is expecting that it's going to be automated in some level, and how are you going to know? You're going to know because you're monitoring your open rates, that they're okay with the amount of things that you've automated. You have high open rates, you have response, you're selling things. Those analytics are going to give you great intel. And the other thing too is that if you are starting to automate too much, you're going to start to see a drop on all of that. Things are going to start to fall off the bus, and you're going to feel that. Yeah.
Yep.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I think that a key is you have to be true to who you are, who the company is, the product and service too. So it's got to flow out of that. I mean, you got to know who the audience is, but you also have to be true to yourself. I mean, there was a marketer recently that came out with a very in-your-face kind of email. Hey, I haven't heard from you, so I'm going to drop you off my list if you don't click here.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, kind of thing. So, but that was, that doesn't flow with me. That's not going to be true to who I am, who my products or services are, that type of thing. It was somewhat reflective of that individual, but that's going to be. That's going to be a stylistic choice. I mean, you're gonna if you're gonna turn off certain people like me with that kind of approach, and maybe there's a little segment that you're going to attract, But so your emails have to kind of reflect the brand personality. How about that?
Right. Absolutely, and you also bring up a great point, because by the brand personality, I think that you have to put. So, and I'm just going to use my business as an example. So, I work with my husband and I have people behind me, but I'm usually the face of my business. So all of our emails and all of our communication comes from me. It comes back to my reply email address, because people I'm kind of that face of the company, even though the name of the company is something different than my name. So I think that that's really important, that you put the way that your personality is and how you meet and how you talk to people, that should resonate through everything that you do, and including your email and the tone of the content that you're putting through. That's really important. The thing, well, I could go on about that other situation. I think it comes down, like you're saying, Mike, it's really who you are as a brand owner. I'm an Infusionsoft certified partner. However, I've seen different levels that I'm just not comfortable with. And working with clients, this is kind of where it comes down to a whole nother topic of finding that right client. And I've worked with clients who I don't necessarily agree with their back-end process, because that's not how I do business. And I would rather work with clients that have kind of the same mindset that I have in how they automate their processes and automate their business and do things. So I've seen where businesses over-automate, and everything is automated, and it's really about the money and not really about the relationship. And I believe that the way you can set up your email nurtures, you can have great relationships with your lists and your clients, and they're going to stay with you and they're going to stay loyal to you. And then there's people that it's really not about that. They're really about just making money. And don't get me wrong, I got kids to feed. I want to make money as well. However, it definitely is, my relationships are more important for me, in fostering those to get people, the right people, to come into my business.
The right people. Excellent. Excellent. All right, guys. Let's see. I think we kind of went through the questions. I know we're kind of past our time here, but it's been a good one. So I think I'm going to say we go ahead and wrap up the recording. We can stay on if there's any other final questions, but I appreciate you joining me here today, April, and I hope we can get you back on Magnet Marketers.
I know.
All right.
I would love to.
Okay, folks. So email nurture, how to rock that relationship building email campaigns. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Again, you can always find this Magnet Marketers here every week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we try to make it worth your while. Okay, this is Mike with April signing off.
Thanks, guys.
Recording.